All right, we are back and we are digging for wisdom, week 2 edition. That's Professor Diggs. I'm Wizzy. We're talking week 2 and what we learned from week 1. Now, listen, this is difficult for most fans, coaches, and what have you. Not even coaches, fans and experts. How hard is it for you, Diggs, as an expert? We're calling you an expert. To not overreact on week 1, to not say, "Oh my God, it's all over for this team, and this team's going all the way to state."
First of all, I am the king of overreacting. I think that's what the dump is. It's just one big overreaction. And through a whole series of overreactions, we'll eventually get it right. We'll eventually get it calibrated in. But even with all the fact that we don't have much data in week 1, I still picked out about a 75% rate. Now, probably in the big games, maybe 65 to 70%. There were definitely some misses. And it's okay to point to those. But I just want to point out that, I do get about, especially as the season gets on, it's closer to 9 out of 10 games, but my goal is 8 out of 10 games, and it's hard, but I think overreactions are warranted, because if you get ahead of an overreaction, you can fix things, because there's still a lot of road left, except for Duncanville. Duncanville has a shorter road than everybody else, but for everybody else who does choose to play 10 games, there's a lot of roads left, whether they go down the country roads or the regular roads. We'll find out. But that's what we're going to do this week, Ward. We're going to overreact. And I would like to do a little bit of overreaction, if you don't mind, to kind of start things out with you, because I saw something on our social medias this week that I actually liked. And I want to I want to know if we've been doing it. I actually do like it. I want to know if we've been doing it more, or if this is something new we're trying. But I was watching it. It's just like an audio. It's like no overlays. It's just like the audios of the game. You can hear the band in the background. There was like Rayburn was going mic check 1 2 1 2, and it was just like a full produced thing with no talking. I mean, I felt like I was at the game in each of those segments that y'all just put up on social media. I don't know if that was the TV version that didn't have Pat Doney on it, but whoever did that, give them flowers to start out with, because I enjoyed that. I want more of that, Ward. So
I know you do.
Just the audio of it. And also, Ward, I'm going to make a challenge. So I want you to also let everybody know where you are going to have camera crews this week, because I was thinking about this. We're a pretty big deal now, Ward, right? I think we're up to about 10 to 15 people are watching this every single week. So I'd say we're
at least
definitely in the big deal. I think we need to have some banners or posters with either Digging for Wisdom or Inside High School Sports or something. And we got to have some cheerleading squad or a band. Get us a poster or something. So, Ward, where are we going to be? So
these little footballs. Little footballs with our names on them. We check them out there. That'd be great. That'd be sweet. Now, listen, to give you a heads up, I mean, this is Sunday that we're recording this, and it's going out Thursday. So they're subject to change. But the main games we have on our list, we're going to go out to some Thursday games. Prosper-Heath, we're going to be at Rockwall. We're going to be at Lewis. That's Teddy Ball game. You'd love to see him. Byron Nelson of Louisville. That's down the block from me. So guess who's going to be at that one? And the Cowboys are playing on that night, so, I have zero interest in watching that. So I'll be there from start to finish, post-game, and Raising Cane's across the street, or Waterburg across the street, excuse me. We'll also be at Denton Ryan and Mansfield Timberview, and I believe during our pre-talk, you've convinced me into Grapevine Birdville on Thursday as well. So
the problem is, Ward, you'll be at Raising Cane's and at Waterburg. That's the problem. That's what we got to work with you on. You got to pick one meal. You can't be going to both.
That is true. I got to get second and third.
Like all of a sudden you're getting cane sauce and Whataburgers and just making
mixed
your
up
own creations.
Well, it's the problem when you have second and third lunch, and you got to figure out where those places are going to be. Fourth dinner, that's an issue too. Pat Doney's going to be at North Crowley for that one. Country Roads is heading to Canton. My main man Pox is at Wiley this week. He's seeing Wiley and Flower Mound, which we'll talk about later.
Now, would you say Canton is in the DFW, North Texas area? Because I
sure
feel like there's been some grief about that. Well,
that's why we dub it Country Roads. We can stray a little bit further to DFW because we're out on them deep, dirty dirt roads.
Sports Sunday twice, morning and night. Is it not going to be on that show? Tell us more.
On the show, sure.
Okay.
Listen,
it's going to be on the DFW Inside High School Sports Show in Canton at Dairy Palace, Van Zandt County, just like I say. Come on, boy.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, you're not going to get me Malakoff. So if you are a cheerleader, a booster club sponsor at any of those games, I would like, even if you don't got to make the run through sign about us. Come on, I'm not that, but just a nice little 8x12 poster, something. We'll ask people to look for them, put it on camera. Come on, just it's a challenge for you. Let's get you on TV. Help us help you.
And tell Diggsy that you see, if you see him on the sidelines, tell him that you watch this, man. He loves that kind of stuff. He loves meeting the people, even though he's shy as all get out. He's not shy when he's killing me on the show, but he's shy when he's out on the sidelines. He tries to cower behind the mascot and all that mess. Go up to him and say, hey, man, I enjoy your picks. By the way, he's the expert here. And as he says, as the year we get, as we go on to weeks 9 and 10, that 70% will go up to 90%. I'm not helping him. That's like a blind person helping Picasso with paint. I'm not helping him do nothing. So go out there and say, Dixie, you picked my squad to win, and you are a heck of a guy. Give me a
what you get, and I'm not going to break the actual story, but you get text messages with injury updates. I don't get injury updates. I don't get these things. I don't get the who's in and who's out like you do. So you don't say you help, but Ward, you do help. You are the inside in inside high school sports, and you kind of bring it all home. Ward.
All right, Diggs, let's get into some week 2 games here. We have Keller and Arlington Bowie both coming off. Bowie coming off a great come from behind, well, not come from behind, but an overtime win against Flower Mound, which depressed me a little bit, but just a little bit. I'll be okay with it. And then Keller stuck with Marcus for the longest time, but then they kind of just couldn't handle the Nuss bus, who took care of business on the ground and in the air. What do you think in this one?
One thing I do as a high school football person is I look at these kind of circle calibration games, because even though we don't have Flower Mound Marcus or Flower Mound in this game, we can kind of look at them because we know Flower Mound Marcus and Flower Mound are very similar, even though when they play in the Mound Showdown, throw out the records. But just talent-wise, I thought Marcus would be a little bit ahead of Flower Mound. So when I look at how Keller played Marcus and I look at how Bowie played Flower Mound, unless there's some sort of overlying issue, those two games are really what are cluing me into what I think in this game. And I think Keller had a much better performance against Marcus than Bowie did against Flower Mound, given that I think Marcus has a lot more talent than Flower Mound, especially since Flower Mound lost their quarterback to Summer Creek and still have some questions there. So Keller should win this game. I think the one thing that Keller would not account for with this Bowie is the speed. I don't think that Flower Mound Marcus nearly has the speed that Bowie does, but given that Flower Mound didn't seem to really struggle with that, I don't think Keller's going to struggle with that either. So I think Keller's going to win this game. 2 scores, but I think it'll be a back and forth from 1 to 2 scores. Bowie's got to generate turnovers if they're going to win this game. I just don't think they can. Keller plays very smart football, but if Bowie's back 7 can get a interception, or if a linebacker can force a fumble, those are the kind of things that could really flip it. So if I look at this and Bowie wins, I'm gonna have to see +2 or +3.
+2 or 3. All right. Another one that could be a close matchup is McKinney Lakeview Centennial. It's probably not going to be a watch out, your fingers are going to get hurt by putting up the score so much, but it still could be a nice game here, a nice competitive battle.
It will be a competitive battle. I don't think it's going to be a beauty fest. I was getting text messages about the McKinney-Emerson game, and it very sounded like the game we went to. The people were saying, man, this is kind of ugly football. It's slow. It's a little bit lumbering. There's a lot of mistakes. Special teams is good, but there are a lot of mistakes. And Lakeview Centennial versus Richardson was very much a slugfest in that same way. Lakeview Centennial had a really good chance to upset Richardson. They threw an 86-yard Hail Mary with about 19 seconds left, but then they missed the extra point, Ward. You can't do that if you're going to pull off the upset. They lost 14-13. McKinney lost by a field goal. This just has one of those bowling shoe ugly feels to it. I think McKinney just has a little bit more on the offense than Lakeview Centennial does on the defense, and Lakeview Centennial has a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't think they're going to generate much against McKinney's defense. Give me McKinney by a score in a game that probably is going to be an unconventional score. Like I saw the Prosper Rock Hill Timber Creek score was like 20-11 last week. It's going to be something like that. We're just going to be missed extra points or 2-point conversions to make it a non-traditional score.
Gritty game. Doing the gritty. All right, Prosper Rockwall-Heath. You're going to see Professor Diggs in attendance. You're going to see Teddy Ballgame in attendance. And you're going to probably see lots of points. I mean, Rockwall-Heath certainly did it against Highland Park on the road in a solid come-from-behind win, and Prosper held off Austin Westlake, a state finalist, to get their victory there. this one could be a good one, huh, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good games on Thursday. This is the best of the bunch for me. Bryce Robinson stepped up at running back for Prosper. He had 159 yards. Braden Imhoff, he threw for fantasy numbers, Ward. When you throw for fantasy numbers, you get my attention. He threw for over 300 yards in that game against Austin Westlake. And this is Austin Westlake. Now we just saw Rockwall-Heath come off of this absolute track meet against Highland Park where Buck Randall had almost 400 yards passing. That just really speaks well for Braden Imhoff. I think they're going to be able to get behind that offensive line. And one thing I don't like about Rockwall-Heath is I feel like there's too many chefs in the kitchen. And what I mean by that is that they had 3 different quarterbacks throw the ball, at least at one point in the game. I think they had 7 running backs running the game. Their top 2 running backs only had about 10 carries each. Wide receivers, 6 or 7. I appreciate the depth they have, and I think that was a big part of why they were able to wear down Highland Park and weather that comeback and get back into the game. But I think against a team like Prosper, you got to know who you're going to. You got to have those frontline players who you can count on in the fourth quarter, because I think this is going to come down to the fourth quarter. I trust Prosper more. I think even as weird of a comparison as it is, I think beating Austin Westlake at a neutral site is more impressive than beating Highland Park at home. I like Prosper in this game.
Interesting. Well, it's going to be a fun one for sure. I know.
Now, do you have the courage to talk to Rodney Webb about that? Like, you ask him on the warm-up, say Diggs is talking all kinds of noise about your depth.
That's exactly how I'm going to do it.
Are you going to question him on that? Are you going to ask him the tough
questions? I'm
questions?
exactly going to do that. I'm going to cower behind you and say, Mr. Diggs, he said, I need to ask you this or he's going to slap me. And he said, I'm soft as butter. I don't want to be soft. I want to be hard like you. Oh, that didn't sound right. Never mind. Anyway, on to the next one. Byron Nelson, Louisville, which is where I'll be, because what do I have to do? Watch a Cowboys game on Thursday night? Not going to do it. Sorry, I'm yelling into the microphone. I'll have plenty of time for that game. Tell me your thoughts on that, because Byron Nelson kind of got a game that you didn't predict him to win, and they won handily. Louisville, they took out Summit, but we can talk about Summit later. I don't think they're on the schedule this week. I'm interested in hearing your opinion on them, but I really want to know about this game right now. Louisville, Byron Nelson.
I was excited about Byron Nelson. Thursday, 8:30. That game was over in Abilene. We were both sitting in rain delays. Well, at least I was sitting in a rain delay. You're in the indoor, in the sphere of Texas high school football, just enjoying yourself at halftime while I'm out there.
You don't get rain indoors unless you got bad plumbing.
It happens. Our guy Kenny had some plumbing problems this week, so we got to think a good thought for Kenny. So I was really impressed with Byron Nelson. Parker Almanza stepped in at quarterback, and he looked great, running the ball, throwing the ball. But one thing I noticed when breaking that game down, the running back situation, they didn't really seem to be settled, and the wide receivers didn't really seem to be settled. It seemed to be the Parker Almanza show, which – bless his heart. That's a great show. It's a great show if you're going to watch it, but you got to have a supporting cast at some point. And then I start looking at what happened in District 2-6A across the board. I look at Midland Legacy. They came down to Allen. That game, Allen was putting their JV in the second half because it was like 40 to nothing at halftime, and their JV didn't get to play because Midland wasn't bringing their JV down, and nobody wants to play the Allen JVs. So it was like 13-6 Allen JV versus Midland Legacy's varsity in the second half. And then you start looking at Midland. They got popped by South Lake Carroll. You saw this friendship game. Odessa Permian came down here, and they lost to Plano in a game where you could see the highlights this past week. Did you get the highlight of that guy just dropping the ball at the one?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Man, that
was hilarious. I could score, but I don't want to.
Just don't want to score.
Now, he probably looked over the side. Was like, is that Rex Burkhead? And then he dropped the ball.
Just dropped it.
That's Superman?
It's the mental lapses that we make sometimes that cause wins from losses and losses from wins. So that kind of took a little bit of the shine away from the Byron Nelson win, just kind of looking regionally at the 2-6A games and how they fared. And then when I'm getting into the matchups, the fact that Byron Nelson could not run the ball at all against Friendship, and given that 2-6A, Plano, Chance Cully had 226 yards against Permian. They were able to run for days. But again, Byron Nelson couldn't find that running game, and Louisville is going to key on that. And if they can't get the running game going, Louisville is going to be able to keep a single high safety and just kind of and have play press coverage. It's going to be hard for Byron Nelson to score against that. So just the way the matchups look, if Byron Nelson figures out the running game, hey, they could end up winning this game. But I think Louisville is going to win this game rather handily. I think they're going to win by 2 scores in a game that they were never really trailing. It may not be pretty, but 28-14, something like that. You'll get your highlights, Ward. Don't worry. And you can always tune in the Cowboys game.
What else to do? I got nothing else to do. I'll be there until post game, and I'll go talk to Mr. Louisville up there, the PA guy who likes to talk during the plays.
You can go have dinner. Oh, he's actually gone, by the way. He retired last year.
I guess I will go watch.
You'll have to find out who's going to be the next. You can give us a breakdown of that guy, the new Louisville PH guy. PH guy, is that like the chemistry teacher? I don't know. We're getting into school talk again.
We testing pool water. What's happening around here? All right, let's move on to another game.
Wrong with me, Ward.
I don't know, man. Put some more chlorine in your pool. Reedy versus Emerson. What are your thoughts on this one? I saw Reedy against Lake Ridge, and it was a team they beat by 54 last year and lost to them this year. Lost to them, and now they're playing an Emerson squad that doesn't. I saw Kendall Miller, but I didn't see him with Emerson. Obviously, he was playing ISD. Tell me your thoughts on this Frisco battle.
It is a battle, and I feel like it's like the race down the drain to the pH tester because both these teams, I think, are taking steps back. Reedy had one of the most – I think DeSoto had the number one turnaround. They go from winning by 70 to losing by 42. Reedy was pretty close at that 60. Close. Fortunately, he was playing East like at number 3 with about a 55-point turnaround from last year, but that's neither here nor there. We're not going to be talking about Plano East very much this week because, fortunately, North Forney has too many clips right now, and we don't want to get into that. Yeah. But Reedy just – you saw Reedy. What did you feel like was missing from them from last year that they didn't have?
Protection. First of all, they have no every single play that they decide to pass, it's a rollout to the right. And once teams start doing a corner blitz on them or something like that, once the Frisco ISD teams and their district do their film study and do corner blitzes, well, then that gets taken away, and that poor quarterbacks can take a beating. So that's one thing. And defensive wise, obviously, they gave up 31 when they only had 7 the last time. So they're maybe missing an athlete here or there.
And it's that depth, and all that depth seems to find themselves at Lone Star. We're not going to talk about Lone Star this week because they did not schedule themselves a competitive game for week 2. They looked good in week 1. And they're like, we're going to take the week off before district starts. But I think based on what I got out of the games, I think Emerson has got too many athletes for Reedy, and they've got the athletes that Reedy doesn't have. But can Emerson score 30 even if Reedy's defense is willing to give up 30? That's going to be the big question because Emerson struggled with that last year at times, and that was with a returning quarterback who started as a sophomore, took off as a junior, but came back in as a senior and some really good talent. So Emerson's got to find some offensive consistency and score in other ways other than special teams and defense. But I think Emerson, when they get against this Reedy front, it's going to look slower. Everything is going to look slower. The game is going to open up for them. I think Emerson's going to win a 28-21 kind of a game.
Yeah, scoring on special teams is supposed to be an add-on to what you're already doing. It can't be your consistent thing of offense. Rockwall-Heath started their game against Highland Park with a kickoff return for a touchdown, but that was the add-on.
2 straight years, right? Like,
exactly.
Didn't they do that last year?
They did do that last year, yeah. So that was just an add-on to 40 more points of offense. So,
and if they would have had that, they lose by exactly the point margin I predicted.
I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm sorry. Timberview came away with a nice afternoon shutout against Kimball, and then we got Denton Ryan who pulled off a win as well, but maybe not as impressive as you thought. I don't know. I'm interested in that. And this game is actually going to be at Newsom, so they're going to have to hit the road.
Denton Ryan in week 1 over the last few years has just been a head scratcher.
Did I just tee you up for Ryan hate? This is what you love to do. I'm sorry, Coach Hennigan. I teed him up. Go ahead. Finish your hate.
I just go back to New Bronzeville the last 2 years and lose both of those games. And then, we're going to schedule Northwest Eaton the next 2 years. And each of those games were like 1 or 2 score games. And I think Ryan was trailing in the fourth quarter at one point. And then they pulled it out late. This game it's going to be defense, I think, because the offenses do not seem to be where they need to be. And Timberview, they beat Kimball 27-0, but Kimball is 4A Division I. It's not necessarily the litmus test of what you're going to need to be a state-ranked powerhouse. And I know Coach Coleman came to Timberview to be a state-ranked powerhouse. He did not come there for participation trophies and attaboys and ribbons. He wants to compete. And I think his schedule next year will be much different than this year. I think he will schedule much tougher. But Denton Ryan should win this game. But will they work out the kinks? Will they finally give me some style points? Because this week, and you're going to see it in the rankings, you can see it in the warm-up and on our social media sites, Denton Ryan took a little bit of a tumble in the rankings. I flipped Alito over them because Denton Ryan did not look good at all. And it seems like they just get started slow. Even though they're bringing back so much, Alito looked more week one ready despite not having a quarterback than a coach's son at quarterback. I don't know what's going on at Denton Ryan in these slow starts, but it's coaching at some point. I mean, the slow starts are attributed to the coaching having their kids ready. I'm not saying it's bad coaching. I'm just saying there's something, maybe it's a slow ramp. Maybe it's just a philosophy. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad coaching, but the philosophy is not getting them ready for key starts. But at the same time, they made it 15 weeks, and I think they would probably trade a Diggs complaint about a slow start for 15 weeks of football every year.
I mean, we're going to get to Alito later on, but does that pull back your thoughts on maybe them stopping that Alito district winning streak?
As of right now, it's overreactions like we talked about. I will flip a team real quick.
Flip them in a heartbeat.
Week one, if you don't give me the style points, Alito won, Denton Ryan 2. I've been saying it all year. Denton Ryan won, Alito 2. And if Alito loses to Lancaster by 28 and Denton Ryan comes and puts 50 on Timberview, I could do it again, Ward.
That's my man, Lil Flip right there. Lil Flip.
That's what I do. I am the Gumby of high school football. I will stretch. I will be your Stretch Armstrong. Just give me a reason.
You'll flip a flapjack, right in front of you. All right, Saxey, Arlington, Lamar, Ari, we just pulled them out of the shovel talk to put them in this game talk. And Saxey, give them a little credit for coming back against Capel. They were down a lot early, and they came back and made it a good game. They're heading to Arlington this time. Your thoughts on this one?
This is going to be interesting because we get multiple areas of calibration because Saxey, were they closer to Coppell, or was that just kind of Coppell, having the inexperience of a sophomore
of how to close out a game,
and how to close out a game and keep the intensity high through 48 minutes. And same thing with Arlington Lamar. Was Plano West maybe better than we expected, and Lamar ready to get the shovels back out and say, hey, that was just Plano West being good. Sorry, Diggs, you're about to see in a couple of weeks because when you scheduled Plano West for homecoming, that really got some move-ins over there because there's a lot of kids in this area who are tired of Diggs scheduling them for homecoming. So if you want to make Diggs' homecoming bad, go to Plano West, get a starting role, and come in and press somebody. So what happened to Arlington?
I'm thinking that loss affects you more than the Plano East loss.
It did. Week one, I'm seeing Plano West winning. I'm seeing Plano winning. There's only one Plano ISD school that did not win in week one, Ward, and I'm not happy about it.
No, you're
not happy about it at all. So I'm hoping Saxey wins by about 42.
Okay.
But I think they will win.
What do you think? 14, 42, one of them.
I think that's 42, thinking 14.
I think that's at UTA, too. They're opening that thing up since the Martin Stadium's not ready yet. All right. Grapevine versus Birdville. By the way, all these games we've talked about so far are all Thursdays. So you have some sweet Thursday games to get to. This is the last of the Thursday games we're going to talk about. Actually, no, there's one more. But talk about Grapevine against Birdville because we pulled Birdville out of the Flowers talk. Is this a way for Grapevine to say, hey, Dixie, can you toss me over the head with the tulip? I'd like to get a freaking a daisy or something.
One thing I love doing about the dump is we talk about every single team, 1 to 9, 1 to 8, depending on your district, 7, 6. I can count to 5. I watched my Sesame Street. I know how to count. But I actually bumped up Grapevine over Everman because of their performances. Everman lost by 60. Grapevine lost by 1. That's a much more quality loss. And I predicted Burleson to beat Burleson Centennial, which they did. The middle of that district, 4-5A, 3-5A, is looking stronger and stronger because the Colony had a good win, and Burleson had a nice win. Arlington Seguin all these teams are playing really well in the middle of the pack. And then Grapevine, and it seems like every year, Grapevine, just like Denton Ryan has a weird week one kind of a thing, Grapevine and Wakeland seem to always play competitive games or weird results. And Grapevine did that against Wakeland again. Wakeland should have been returning a lot of talent, should have been able to put a Grapevine team that didn't win a game last year away early. But Grapevine showed a lot of fight with the new coaching staff over there. And it feels like they got a lot of new kids who are in there playing football. I guess the revitalization of Jaworski Lane coming over there for baseball, everybody's excited over at Grapevine. It's like, we're going to win state and something. Let's get all of our programs.
Let's everybody get riled up.
Let's do it. And Birdville beating Crowley the way they did really is exciting as well. These are two teams that kind of started giving me that Prosper Walnut Grove. It's like, who is going to be that team who is going to be the breakout star? And when I look at Grapevine and how they played against Wakeland, it was really impressive. Their quarterback, I'll give you their name, in fact, Jalen Holmes. Yeah, okay. Jalen Holmes had 140 yards. They had, and he also ran for 67 yards. Jake Graham ran for 70 yards. I like the balanced attack that they had. It wasn't just one guy. It was a well-rounded effort. And it wasn't that Wakeland had a bad game. I'm looking at Jaden Maples had 4 touchdowns in that game. So Grapevine defensively, and they had a turnover in that game, and they had 90 yards of penalty yardage. You take that away, they could have upset Wakeland. But I think Birdville beating Crowley the way they did, looking at their talent, I keep looking at the track meets. Alonzo has taught me, he taught me a secret weapon. He's like, look at the track meets, Diggs. That will give you some insight into a team that has a potential to get that next step. So I'll give Alonzo his flowers a little bit late. And looking at Birdville and what they've been able to do in track, and now seeing Zach Wells, a competent quarterback in there, slinging it around, I think Birdville is going to win a close game, but I think Birdville wins it. I think they'll win it by 2 scores, but that last score will be late. It'll be a 1-score game for the majority of the game.
Sweet. That'll be a good one. Last Thursday game is at Choctaw because there's so many Arlington schools. They got to find some place to play, and they're going to play at a baseball stadium. So Seguin's going to be taking on Red Oak. Red Oak beat Colleyville Heritage. It's a bit of a surprise, but because they lost to them last year on the road. And they had all the athletes, the wide receiver athletes, and now they just have Braden Robinson, but maybe they have more than we expected. And Arlington Seguin actually had a nice win as well.
Yeah, I mean, Arlington Seguin beating North Mesquite, that's not necessarily impressive in and of itself. Winning by 50, okay, you got my attention a little bit. But Red Oak, Billy Middleton at quarterback, he was able to sling it around. Braden Robinson, Jordan McQueen, They look like they've got a little bit more, and I'm tired of picking against Red Oak and taking L's. So sorry, Seguin. I'm taking Red Oak in this game. I think the fact that Red Oak was able to win against a quality opponent who's got a lot coming back, and really when you look at that, holding Colleyville Heritage offensively to 11 points, I think they're going to be able to slow Seguin down enough. And I think the game is going to open up a little bit for Red Oak offensively. I think Red Oak could end up blowing out Seguin 2 to 3 scores. I like Red Oak in this game.
All right. By the way, I wonder what the Notre Dame connection is here to this area. So say Caden Finley's going there, Javian Osborne, Braden Robinson. Is there some coach on that Notre Dame staff that has some sort of connection? Figure it out, Diggs.
They're making the wise decision to invest in the DFW area.
That's true. Digging in their pockets. That's why do I always forget NIL stuff? You can be a Tuscaloosa somewhere out in the middle of tic-tac-toe. Throw them $18 million, I'll come. All right, that was it for Thursday. But Friday, go ahead.
Speaking of that, did you see the fascinating meme that got posted? If you draw a line from Tallahassee to Tuscaloosa and you draw it, it makes a perfect L. That's our college football insight for the week. Yeah,
there you go.
Go down. Taking the L, Alabama.
Take that L. There's Keelan Russell time. Let's go. Put him in there. All right, Flower Mound and Wiley. This actually looks like. So you're big on tiers. This looks like a good second tier doozy of a game. Would you say? I mean, neither one of these guys are going to win state, but it looks like a competitive game. They got a new quarterback over there at Flower Mound, Sampson, and we'll see if he can start connecting on some of these guys. I didn't see Carter Massey in the box score. I need to find out if he's hurt or what happened. But your thoughts on him going after Wiley?
Box score.
I did, and he
Just
played
asking.
great.
Was he?
Oh,
Was he
no,
in it?
he wasn't there. No.
Oh, okay.
Spinks was, and he was terrific. But anyway, go ahead.
But on the Wiley podcast that they have, Pappy C does a great job at it. I like to promote podcasts. You like to cut it out and just give me the exercise. Quit talking about people, Diggs.
Don't talk about people.
But I like to be a well-rounded person, and he made the really good point that Wiley has a D1 quarterback. They've got a D1 they got a D1 running back. Why are more people talking about Wiley? Then they lose to Richardson Pierce, and you wonder, that's why we don't talk about Wiley is because Pierce graduated everybody. You got a D1 quarterback, you got a D1 running back, and you still can't beat a JV team that basically came up. But what was really shocking to me was Dalen Gordon was used more as a receiver. We're going to have to figure out. They're basically trying to turn him into Davian Gross or something. Yeah. That Davian Gross position where you don't know, should we consider him a running back? Should we consider him a flex back, wide receiver? What do we do with that? Flower Mound, I feel like they're going to beat Wiley. If you can't beat Pierce, you're not going to beat Flower Mound. Flower Mound's going to be schematically ready for this game. And they were so close against Arlington Bowie. They're going to find a way to shut down J.B. Blake, the quarterback. Dalen Gordon, if he can't get the game going running, and they're not going to be able to establish that line of scrimmage, I think Flower Mound is going to be able to establish that line of scrimmage, and they should have offensive success for days against Wiley. Give me Flower Mound by a score.
Give him to
You're going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy next week, Ward, but you are going to be happy.
I'd like to have a W every once in a while. All right, let's move on over to Wilkerson-Sanders. So we've already stated that if a game is there, it's going to be high scoring. Is that going to be the case here when these boys from Austin come up to play the Yellow Jackets?
Lake Travis is just helping us calibrate the DFW area. We got Arlington Martin, and now we're going to get Rockwall to give us a little bit of feedback. So now we got to know what Lake Travis is doing, which we don't really know too much about Lake Travis because we do not have an Inside High School Sports yet in Central Texas. Now, Ward, I like having homework assignments. I want you to fix that. I want you to right now pause the podcast, go out, get us a Central Texas sponsor, get us into Central Texas.
So we know what's going on. I'll do it.
What's going on? I need some highlights.
Give me a year. I'll figure it out.
And then you could do your double dip. Then all of a sudden, this Lake Travis Rockwall game, you'd have a camera crew because you'd be able to hit two birds, one stone. There you go. You know how to do it. I'm getting nervous about Rockwall, Ward. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really getting nervous about them just because 10-6A is looking so good right now. And Royce City is looking like they got, we talked about what was going to happen when you put those sophomores on that team. It looked good, Ward. I don't think it's an example of Plano East being that bad. That was just Royce City really looking good. That's kind of my current take. Now, for Rowlett, who we already gave the shovel, comes in and beats them. They beat them last year. Rowlett beat Royce City last year.
That's true.
And I'm going to change everything and sell all my Plano East stock, and you might see shovels for Plano East next week. But I think Royce City is going to probably beat Rowlett by 50 or 60 this week. Somebody's going to miss the playoffs.
And you saw a lot of 10-6A last week, believe it or not, more than you normally do. So,
and I'm going to go see Heath this week.
There's 6 teams fighting for 4 places. That's going to be interesting.
And who's going to get them? It may be Rockwall as one of the odd teams out because at this point I'll have seen most of them other than Longview after this week because I'll have seen North Forney and Heath this week. So 10-6A will be my wheelhouse. I think Lake Travis is going to beat Rockwall by 3 scores. I'm nervous about Rockwall and the fact that they didn't beat Berkner by more. I mean, that was a game that I could have seen them put up 50 or 60. Traditionally, they would put up 50 or 60. They didn't. In this district, you need the style points. Lake Travis is going to win this game.
Goodness.
I think they're going to win big.
Well, you got me sitting here thinking about which 4 teams are going to make it in 10-6A. I can't do it. And I'm dumping on Tyler Legacy, and they had a pretty decent outing their first game, too. Only because
they only lost by 4 scores to a state-ranked team. That was good. 4
scores. They had a decent showing. Plano versus Richardson. We both saw Plano, and we know about Richardson through Barley, who actually joined our little Friday night recap, gave us a nice little comment, which I appreciated, Marla. We always appreciate everything she does for us. But tell me about this game.
By the way, keep those comments coming.
Exactly. Chance Cawley. Cully, you saw him run for 237 live.
Live and in living color.
How much he's going to run on Richardson, who wasn't super impressive in week 1?
Well, I mean, they do got a really good defensive line, but it was the back seven that seemed to have a problem. And, the quarterback over there was able to get it out to those sophomores. You had a sophomore quarterback. You got some sophomore receivers over there, but they were able to basically break down when Permian started stacking the box. They were able to get the ball out into space and make big plays down the field. And I don't think Lakeview Centennial was able to do that except for the Hail Mary at the end of the game, which they did. And I think Plano is going to be able to consistently do that. I think Plano is going to win handily. I think Richardson did not show me anything in this game. And this is just going to prove what I've been talking about, that there's levels to this. Richardson has some pieces, but it's not a complete team. I think Plano is going to win this game by 17.
Got to be complete. And let's talk about another battle between these two districts. Pierce against Plano West. We already know what your feelings are about Plano West. You're angry that they're winning. That's what is going on here. Plano West gets a nice win. Now, are they going to follow it up? Is there going to be a letdown week, or are they going to follow it up with a win over Pierce or a competitive game with Pierce?
This is one of those games that, all of a sudden had no, if you would have asked me the percentage likelihood, we've been talking about this preseason with my great preseason analysis, I'd say about 3%. And now here it is, all of a sudden, Pierce with an unexpected win, Plano West with an unexpected win. Who's for real and who's not for real? And now we have the calibration of 7-6A versus 6-6A, 2 games. We got Richardson and Plano and Pierce and Plano West. So I think that's going to open up some eyes about where the pecking order in 7-6A is and where the pecking order in 6-6A is. I think Pierce is going to be a bit of a more complete team. I trust Pierce more than I trust Arlington Lamar now. Lamar lost my trust in a big way. We talk about attachment in psychology, Ward. We talked about the Johari window last week. And now
Time to get smart. Smart me up.
Is the connection that a mother makes with its infant. And I have to have connections with these teams. And I do not have a good attachment with Arlington. I certainly do not have a good attachment with any Plano school outside of Plano East. But I don't have a good attachment with Arlington Lamar after that. But I do have a good attachment with Pierce. And I feel like Pierce took that next step up. I put him back in the playoff race because Irving MacArthur, who I thought might do something, they 1 week I'm done on them, and now Berkner, I'm done on them. So I think Pierce can show me that they can even get back up to the 3 spot and maybe the 2 spot, because we saw Jesuit in a kind of a lackluster performance against Hebron. Give me Pierce to look good and win this game by 2 scores.
All right, and I know we're well into this, and I hate to say let's stop down, but let's stop down for a second and talk about 7-6A and how unimpressed we are after week 1. I mean, we just finished talking about 6 teams going for 4 spots in 10-6A. In 7-6A, it's like they're throwing up four seeds up in the air. Somebody go get them. From the get-go, from the get-go, we haven't seen too terribly much.
Yeah, Lake Highlands is dealing with the injury bug significantly. I'm not going to be invited to Lake Highlands games anymore because Christian Rhodes seems to get hurt every time I go. I don't know the severity of the injury, but they pulled him out the second half just like against Flower Mound. Or they could be like, no Christian Rhodes for you, Diggsy, in the second half. You saw what you needed to see.
Just don't want you to see him.
He was really impressive, by the way. So I hope everything is good with him.
I penciled them in. Who wants the other 3 spots?
Yeah, the other 3 spots. But at the same time, I think there's a pretty hard ceiling at the bottom. Irving MacArthur struggled. Irving Nimitz with the slot T offense. A lot of people thought that they were going to be competitive. They got blown out by Sam Houston. It was 2 scores, but that was the game that Irving Nimitz should show how that slot T worked, and they did not do that at all. Irving's not going to be competitive. So there's really 5 teams for those 3 spots because I think Lake Highlands is definitely number 1 still. So 4 teams, I guess, are going to be battling for 3 spots. But yeah, just throw it up every week. I could change it. I had Pierce number 5 last week, and now I'm talking about Pierce maybe being number 2 if they can show me a 2-score or better win against Plano West. So, Coach,
show me something impressive.
Do it, Coach.
All right. Here's another East Texas
team. Do it for
team.
the Digs.
Did they go home? They had to go home. But they went home because they got to go to school. They're coming back to take on Trinity. Trinity's JT Harris really helped me out with his ankles by not playing. In fantasy, I got this many points out of JT. But I still like him, man. The T is for tantalizing. James Tantalizing Harris. His first name's not James either. Anyway, tell me what you think they're going to do to Are they going to give him a similar beating as Allen did? I mean, because you saw with not even their first-string running back, they did whatever they wanted to straight Jesuit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be worse because Allen used that game for developmental purposes in the second half. So the score may end up worse, but it's not going to be a perfect calibration. You can't go, oh, look at Trinity. They beat them worse than Allen did. That's indicative that they've arrived as a state powerhouse just because of the way Allen managed that game. But I think Trinity will win and name their score. But again, because of their running game, it's a different style. Allen was throwing the ball around. Jeremiah Dowd had a great game. Their wide receiver had 11 catches for 130 yards. So just a different style of game. But Trinity's got a good defense, and their offense is going to be next level. I think they're going to win this game by 40 plus, but it'll be I think it'll be like 21 at halftime and then, 35-38 by the second half. It won't be the pure dominance that Allen did, but Trinity should be a big favorite.
And don't they start with do they start with Southlake or Byron Nelson in district play? Because I believe that's the very next week. We'll figure it out next week.
Well, Southlake and Byron are the first game in district.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
all right. So they'll get in the second game or something. Anyway, let's talk about Southlake. Since we brought them up, let's talk about. They get a home game against Hebron. Hebron they're feeling good because they beat the heck out of Jesuit, but now they're heading into the Dragon's Lair. Let's see what they can do with Southlake Carroll.
Yeah, Hebron's running back, Asen McQuarrie, Jones was fantastic in that game against Jesuit. But quarterbacks, there's still some questions there. It was Brady Brock who ended up winning that quarterback battle. He had a good game, 213 yards against Jesuit. But again, I think that's more about what Jesuit didn't do versus what Hebron did do. But Hebron was able to take advantage of that, and that's something Hebron early in preseason has not been able to do, is take advantage of some weaker teams. This has been both times they played last year. Hebron had some elements that made you think, okay, they could be competitive. They can take that next step. Maybe they can do something. I don't think we're going to see that word. I think Southlake is just so at such an advanced level right now, and they're going to be so dialed into this game. I don't think it's going to be any reflection on Hebron to lose this game bad. I think it's just going to be a reflection of Southlake Carroll. Give me Carroll by at least 4 scores.
They're certainly challenging themselves because they got Duncanville as their last scrimmage. Southlake Carroll. It's only going to bode. Yeah, it's only going to bode well for them once they get into 5, 6, 8 play. All right, talk about this one because this is where I'll be. Waxahachie against Coppell. I'm interested to see Coppell. I mean, Zingelman threw for 200 yards, but he scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. He showed some stuff, but that Meyer Cohen Brown connection showed some stuff as well. What do you think about this squad coming up to Coppell and playing them?
The thing I did not like about the Coppell game is Zingelman, you could say everything you wanted about him. He sure looks like Eddie Griffin right now, being able to run the ball, throw the ball, dual threat. But they had no running game besides that. I mean, their 2 running backs, Dylan McAfee and Jaden George. I thought Jaden George was going to be a little bit more advanced going on, and maybe it was just Saxe's defense, because Saxe has a really good defensive line. He couldn't get it going, and maybe it was Zingelman, them scouting for that, and having Zingelman roll out and make the edges and get away from that big defensive line. But that worries me that the Coppell offensive line couldn't open the holes. And Waxahachie, when you look at them, what is their strength? It's that defensive line. So I think Zingelman is going to be running for his life. He may have a big game, but the fact that against Saxe, they struggled against the defensive line, it's going to get worse against Waxahachie. Coupled the fact that game is at Waxahachie, I've been saying it. They got to get that defining win. You got to get the defining win. I think they're finally going to get it. I got them over Coppell this week.
Okay. I believe that game's at Coppell, though. But
is it at Coppell?
Yeah, it is. That's the only reason.
Either way.
I can't go all the way down there. Not this week. Not when I got a guy living right there. All right. Let's go to the next one.
He was probably at the game last year, right? So he was probably there.
No, he wasn't there. Yeah, maybe he was. All right, go ahead. Frisco Heritage.
Regardless, I don't think the home field advantage matters. I'll cut back a field goal because of that. So give him by 10 instead of by 14 because it's at Coppell.
Gotcha.
I believe you.
Frisco Heritage and Terrell. Tell me about this one. Tell me what time it is here.
This game got all of a sudden interesting just because of how they performed in the last couple of weeks. When you look at that 5A Division I, almost everybody underachieved except for Frisco Heritage last week. And Frisco Heritage had the only real win, but they didn't play anybody. I think they played Greenville last week. So what are they going to do against the Terrell squad that had a good win as well? Obviously, Tatum Bell Jr. showed out for Frisco Heritage. If Frisco Heritage the number 2 spot is there for Frisco Heritage. Because Wakeland didn't want it. They barely beat Grapevine. Reedy didn't want it. McKinney North didn't want it. They lost by 50 to Wiley East. So does Frisco Heritage want it? Can they take it to Terrell? I think they can. Give me Frisco Heritage by 2 scores.
How about that? That's at Terrell, right? Oh,
the country roads.
Are they going to feel good at all, or are they just going to keep hurting?
I think they might feel good in Corpus, but that's a long drive to not feel good about making. But, man, North Crowley, I think we're going to get our 3rd straight 30-plus point victory over DeSoto. North Crowley, that game against Creekside, Ward, was brutal. I watched some of the highlights, and the kids are just not there on the sideline right now for DeSoto. They just don't have the depth. 2 of those 4 touchdowns were kickoff returns, and then a couple of touchdowns in garbage time. That game could have been 70-0 in inverse. I don't know what's happening at DeSoto. It seems like it's a chemistry issue. It's a depth issue. North Crowley, even though they struggled against Lancaster, they struggled because of Lancaster. They didn't struggle because of their own internal issues. They struggled because Lancaster's defense was ahead of North Crowley's offense right now. So I think North Crowley, against a team that just gave up 70 to Georgia, they're going to figure things out real quick. And Gaze is not going to feel mercy about DeSoto. North Crowley is going to put it to them, Ward. Yeah. It's going to be ugly, 30-40.
You kept calling them Georgia. They seem like Georgia, University of, the way they were putting in points on them. So, I'm not at that one, so I'm all right. Talk to me about Lake Ridge and Haltom. Both of them are – I feel like they're feeling good. Even though Haltom lost, and I guess they can't be feeling good because that was a rivalry game, and they had the lead and they lost it. So, they're not feeling good. But Lake Ridge is. They got a big win. And they got
say his name, Lord. Say his
name.
Rico,
200 yards rushing. Oh, that's my guy over there.
You could have taken him last week, Ward.
I could have, but did I?
And you could have.
I took somebody with 0 points.
Taken Rico.
I don't like winning, guy. I like to lose. God. Anyway, your thoughts on this one?
But you first of all, you give us some insight since you saw Lake Ridge. What kind of impact to the game does Felix give us?
He gives him a big impact because I was worried about the quarterback at first, but he ended up throwing some sweet spirals, the new guy they got in there, because he had time to throw it. So he absolutely – boy, that guy was a giant. He was supposed to be on the show this week, but he had a family emergency. Couldn't make it. I was like, man, I would love to see him stand next to Pat and say, have Pat go, hey, buddy, got a question for you, because that is a massive dude. But he has a massive impact as well.
Yeah, and I think Lake Ridge is going to continue taking steps. I think they're going to beat Haltom. I think it's going to be a track shoe kind of a game. I think both teams are going to go up and down. But Haltom really impressed me. Even in their loss against Richland, they couldn't stem the tide in the second half, but they were going score for score in the first half. And I think they're going – I think Lake Ridge is not quite where Richland is at offensively. So I think they're going to be able to go score for the whole game. But, man, when you need that player, the best player on the field – is going to be that offensive lineman. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball and pass the ball in a way that I think they're going to have it's going to be like a last possession sort of a game. I think Lake Ridge, this is the kind of analysis you get right here on Digging for Wisdom. Lake Ridge wins the toss, defers to the second half, has the last possession, and wins. All luck, but all of a sudden I'm going to get a text message saying that, Lake Ridge has the ball in the first half. And I'm like,
exactly. And they won the toss, so you won it. But Rico,
they're done.
All right, moving on. Richland to Colleyville Heritage. Coach Cates still has kids playing at the quarterback position. This one's Brett, who brought him back when he threw 232, 3 touchdowns. He had a Jay Sean Gibson catching them. Nice win there. And if you go by, if we're doing overreactions from the first week, then it looks like they should be able to beat Colleyville Heritage. But we're not going to play the overreaction role. We're going to give them complete analysis. Give it to me, Diggs.
We're going to overreact because we talked about secure attachments, and I need a secure attachment. But then you have ambivalent attachments and avoidant attachments, and I feel like Colleyville Heritage has given me a little bit of an avoidant attachment because if you look back to last year, I picked them to beat Anna in the playoffs. What happened in that game?
They didn't win. I know that much.
Then I pick them to bounce back this year against Red Oak. What happens?
Got 11 for you.
At some point, that offense has been bad for like half a season now. It's like once their wide receiver got hurt last year, blew it.
Braden blew it.
It blew it for the offense right now. Colleyville Heritage, their booster club says some very nice things about me, but they're not going to want to hear this, and they're not going to want to clip it. Richland, I think, is going to I got to believe in Richland. I think they're going to win. Colleyville Heritage has got to score more than 11 points at some point. They got to get that offense going. It's just not there right now. Until they prove to me, they got to show me something. They got to earn back the trust. We got to get that earned secure attachment back. I'm feeling very insecure about Colleyville Heritage. I'm feeling good about Richland. Give me Richland. And it's just ugly. I know Red Oak's got a very athletic defense. I know they got a really good front seven, but Richland is not going to be that big of a takeoff from that. I think Colleyville Heritage will score more than 11, but Richland, Colleyville Heritage couldn't stop Red Oak. Yeah, Richland's going to score more too. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. How about this sneaky good game? I shouldn't even say sneaky. We probably thought it would be competitive anyway, but now I feel like it's even more competitive because Alita's making that long drive across 30 and 20 to get all the way to Lancaster, and Lancaster's feeling good despite the loss. They're feeling that they can handle the best 6A team. Why don't I try the best 5A team, or one of the best?
Yeah, one of the things that is what we call the unknown in this game is the DEC meetings. When are they going to meet and do that? Because when I was looking at the box score, the quarterback I was expecting was not playing. One of the DBs I was expecting to be on there was not playing. So Lancaster's got to clear that up because Hairston is probably a better receiver than he is a quarterback. And I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He played very well against North Crowley. But if you can get CJ Daughtry cleared by the DEC, get him in there, get Hairston over there, that's just an extra weapon that they could use to do things. And then if you can get Markel Ford cleared and get him back at the secondary, that defense really stifled North Crowley all night. But even when I was looking at things, Hayes Claudier still had almost 300 yards passing in that game. I think he had just a slight hair over 300 yards. So they could really use a little bit of extra help back there because they're going to make the big plays, but consistently they got to bat down some plays. But then you look at Alito.
But what does Alito have? Yeah, what does Alito have?
Their quarterback was nothing.
They got two of them. They got two quarterbacks. One that runs,
43 total yards. Yeah. Not good. But, man, it's so hard to pick against Toledo because they had such a complete team effort and defensive battle. I'm taking Lancaster by a score award.
Clip it?
I'm taking Lancaster by a score. I feel like if Alito cannot pass the ball, then Lancaster can stack the box, stop the run. And because they got the athletes in the back that can do it, if they just get one of those players back, Lancaster by a score, especially at home.
Okay. I heard you
especially
heard it
at
first.
home.
Especially
we agree it's at home, right?
Because I agree that you're way off on homes and aways, but I got you. Okay. It's in Lancaster. They got to travel that country road to get to Lancaster. This is going to be a good one. All right. Clip it. All right. Next up is South Oak Cliff and Duncanville. I don't know. I kind of favor Duncanville in this only because South Oak Cliff got their big win. They go into these two non-district games. I know deep down they think they feel like they can beat anybody, but to beat a 6A Division I power, all right, we got that in our pocket. Is this right for a letdown game? I don't know because I like the way they ran all over North Shore and passed all over. I mean, they ran for 300 yards with two dudes. It was ridiculous. But tell me, we don't know. What do we know about Duncanville? We know that they got a quarterback that we haven't met. And they got great receivers and great defensive ends, tackles, and the whole defense.
Running backs we've not met. There's been a lot of people we just have not met for Duncanville. But South Oak Cliff, when you look at kind of a little bit closer at that game, again, I don't want to take anything away from South Oak Cliff. I worry about giving the negatives about that game because that's a defining win. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Give South Oak Cliff all the flowers. Big win. Happy for them. They got a defining win. But what do we know about North Shore? I mean, North Shore could be down for all we know. They could, especially in that district, they could end up third or fourth. You know, we could see Summer Creek and Atascocita finally able to knock them off. So maybe South Oak Cliff just opened up the game plan that everybody else in the district, maybe even C.E. King. I don't even know who C.E. King, I don't even know where C.E. King is, Ward. I don't even know what district they're in. Is it Houston ISD? Is it C.E. ISD? I know nothing about Houston, But I do know I do know if you beat North Shore, it's impressive. But right. I also know if you can go North Shore Duncanville, that's even more impressive. But South Oak Cliff had 3 turnovers in that game, 3 fumbles. Duncanville, that's not going to work against Duncanville. Defensive line of Duncanville is not going to give up 300 yards. So they're going to have to get that passing game going. I didn't see in the box score that they're going to be able to get that going. It looks like it's going to be run or bust. If you can stop the run, you can stop South Oak Cliff. And they gave up 500 yards. I mean,
yeah, even quarterback made plays when he needed to make plays.
They gave up 500 yards, Ward.
They did.
Taking Duncanville. I think Duncanville is just a lot better than North Shore is going to be, just in the talent wise, and what we're seeing in the talent depth. I think Duncanville's got more of it. But give South Oak Cliff all of the flowers. Big win over North Shore. Our guy Stepp called it from day one. It was clipped. It was there. Duncanville though for me.
Yeah, it was funny because they clipped that, and some North Shore guy said, "Well, Dave Campbell has lost all credibility," and of course, he had the receipts, and it was like, "Did I get some credibility back?" One thing, you were right about one thing. We aren't going to see North Shore at AT&T. I can pretty much guarantee that. So we may see Duncanville though. So this would be a step up in a win, and on the road. 5 minutes, but it's still the road. We'll see. All right, let's go to this one because this also has the makings of aerial show. Highland Park against Lovejoy. Tell me what you think about that one.
Yeah, Jacob Janicek had to do it all last week against Lubbock Cooper, and he was there to do it. But at some point, you got to have somebody else. I mean, he's your leading passer, he's your leading rusher. I feel like it was this way last year. They just didn't have any balance. I know they had Dalen McCutcheon, and he was out there, and Coleman Ray seems to be that player as a sophomore for Lovejoy. He was their go-to guy. But I got to have a running back. I got to have somebody who can take it off of him because he's not going to make it through 10 games if he's carrying the ball 20 times and running for his life 20 times. Highland Park defensively obviously gave up a lot of points against Rockwall-Heath. So there are some big questions about what they're able to do defensively. But Highland Park showed no issues on the offensive side of the ball. Cannon Bozeman, 200 yards. Buck Randall put up video game numbers, fantasy numbers, if you will, with 400 yards passing. I think Highland Park just has too much offense. Lovejoy's going to get theirs, but Highland Park's just going to get a little bit more. At Lucas, Highland Park's going to go in, take care of business, win this game by 13-14. 2 scores.
Dixie throwing out their Easter eggs throughout this whole podcast, aren't you?
That's what I do. There are so many. It is basically a Cadbury. It should be the Cadbury sponsorship here because I got Easter eggs aplenty.
Digging for eggs. All right. What about Panther Creek and Carter? Panther Creek had no issues whatsoever. And Carter played a good ball game. It was a close one, right? Talk to me about this one. And do we have the home team right in this one? Is it at Carter? Or is it
I just type it as it says.
I'll look it up as you.
But I don't think it matters because
matter.
Because you got 7-4A and 8-4A. They're going to play in the first round, and it's kind of gives us a little bit of insight into. I mean, they could see each other again in the playoffs. But I just wanted to put this game in there because I wanted to give a shout out to Carter because I think Carter looks like their game against Van looks like they took the step. Maybe this is the year they finally get past Kimball and get that number 1 seed because Van has just found a way to break their hearts the last couple of years in big ways. So them coming back in that game and almost knocking off a really good Van Vandal squad. Out there in Van Zant County, by the way, which is I know right in your neck of the woods. You love covering Van and Van Zant County when you can. It's impressive, So shout out to Carter. But now we're going to see does that translate to the athletes of Panther Creek. I think Carter is going to give this. I don't think it's going to be a 63-point margin. Panther Creek will win handily, but I think it's going to be 35 or so. I think it's going to be a much more competitive game because I think Carter is a little bit better than they've been in the past.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Panther Creek is going to put up big numbers. In my wildest fantasy, I couldn't see them not putting up big numbers. All right, next up is Gunter going into Prosper Richland. Shout out to Derek Jackson's daughter.
Who there, Ward? Who?
Gunner. Sorry, did
there
I pronounce
it? I got to work on you about that. I got to work on you about that.
One day I'll learn.
One day.
Get that T out of there. That should be up for the next town meeting. Eliminate the T and don't confuse podcasters that don't know anything about anything. Gunner and Richland, your thoughts?
I have no real. I just want to put Prosper Richland in there because it seems like 2 years ago we had this game. We had Gunner against Walnut Grove, and Gunner took care of business. But we got an early introduction into Walnut Grove, and Gunner is so nice just to kind of break the Prosper ISD new schools in and say, we'll play. We'll move things around to make sure we can get a new Prosper ISD school in. But they lost to Fort Worth Christian, them being Prosper Richland, and it wasn't very competitive. So I'm not expecting a competitive game out of this. But hey, it's a fun game to talk about just because we got small school and no UIL school all in one. So Gunner takes care of business. They even took care of one of your Houston area schools in one of our Houston versus DFW matchups that you got to double dip on.
What is that? Second Baptist, right? It took them down.
Kincaid.
By the way, Kincaid. Who's playing Second Baptist? Oh, I get them all.
I don't even know who First Baptist is. What do you expect me to be here? I'm not a Houston
Kincaid.
guy. I don't even know what Houston ISD, what CE King is. I mean, I'm just sitting
here. CE ISD.
Is that CE ISD? I don't know.
That's hilarious. By the way, Richland fans, later in the year, you're going to see another talent come up here as that make-believe school in Houston called Legacy School of Sciences is bringing the #1 quarterback in the nation up to play your boys. Keyshawn Henderson's coming here to play Richland on a Thursday night, too, so we can all go out and see what's going on there. You won't be able to.
Will you have a camera crew at that game?
We actually will, because we're doing a story on Keyshawn, so we have to get out there.
There
you got to be out there in the first quarter, because who knows?
Shows you don't even have to be a UIL school to get love on this podcast.
There you go. And we can't even get their names right. Second Baptist and CEISD. All right, Diggs, we went long today, so let's get into some Houston fantasy or some Houston high school fantasy football.
It's just like I was telling Kenny, once district starts, the games compress. Think of how many schools we won't be talking about. We're not going to talk about Midland Legacy. We won't be talking about some of these other schools. We won't be talking about any of these Houston area schools, except for the Legacy Science Academy of Harmony or whatever.
Yeah, School of Sciences. All right, Diggsy, I'm off to a tremendous start.
Yes!
Here we go again. I'm going to be better than 4-7. I know that much. Here's the breakdown for it. Dixie, look at that big 0 next to Harris. That 0 could be next to James Harris, too, because he knew very well JT wasn't playing. Why didn't you tell me ahead of time? He works with me. He knew he wasn't playing, and I'm picking him.
Your boy likes me a little bit better.
Weaver.
Your boy likes me.
Apparently so.
I mean, he tolerates you, but he's the contract negotiator. When the big contract negotiations to get me involved in are there, they bring out James Harris, and we just sit and have lunch and drink margaritas, and it's like
he's the closer.
He's just like, name your price, and exactly. I name it, and he pays for the bill, and it's all good.
And the big discussion is like, if I have to work with Wizzy, then I don't know. And then James like, let me bring you in here. Let me go ahead and close this thing. And all of a sudden I come back and you're wearing all sorts of gear and whatnot, bringing us all sorts of ratings. All right, let's talk about this week. Our quarterback competition. You just talked about him. M. Hall for Prosper. You think it's going to be a track meet, and I'm playing the hits. I'm going with Buck Randall, and he's going to be in a shootout as well. So this one might be a wash. We may both get 400 yards in this game, in this matchup. You want to talk about running backs? Let's go to running backs. Explain your running back, because a lot of people don't know about
Harrison.
A lot of people don't know about him, so tell me what you know about him.
Well, I knew that he ran for 230 yards against Justin Northwest this past week, and they fed him the ball 27 times. You talk about the hot hand. I think they're going to feed him this week, and I think Legacy has a chance to even score even more this week with their opponent. So give me – I think I'm looking for 200 yards, but you got Mr. 200 yards yourself there.
I'm talking about Federico. I'll be talking about him all year.
I get to save him. I'm going to save him for a rainy day. You're taking him early.
Well, it's pouring right now for me. I cannot afford this long losing streak again. So, I got to get the umbrella out. That's Federico. Another hit I'm playing is Jalen Lott. I'm hoping he catches crazy passes and earns the bobblehead he'll be getting later this year. And you're going with Caleb Smith, who had a nice outing against the Legacy team against Cedar Hill.
I like the fact that he had 11 catches in that game. So that shows that there's that Jeremiah and Caleb. He's looking for Caleb. And Caleb is a great player. He's going to be one of the top stars for a while. And they already have that comfort level. So now you got Cedar Hill coming in, and they're going to play probably closer to 48 against Cedar Hill. So I think I could see him with 15 receptions. It's not a PPR league, but when you got more receptions, you got more yards coming in. Jalen Lott may go 3 for 82 with 3 touchdowns, but that's not going to win. You got to get touches. And Caleb Smith shows he can get touches. So I'm looking for 10 or more touches.
So this is where I lose this week?
This is where you're going to lose.
This is where I'm going to lose it?
You got a bigger name, but I got bigger numbers, if you know what I'm saying.
You may get 3 80-yard touchdown catches. So leave me alone for his 3 catches. All right, we went a little long, but that's okay. We're breaking down the non-districts. When we get into district play, like you said, it might be a little bit shorter. Go out to a game, man. Say hi to Diggs. He told you where he's going to be at.
Man, we were at 1 hour and 15 minutes, and you're telling me how long this is already, Ward.
It's lengthy, guy. We've been a little long. We went a little long. 1 hour and 15 is not long for you, but for people at the telephone, they're trying to make dinner for their folks, for their kids, for everybody. They can't get to it. They got to wait till you talk about how depressed you are about playing East getting beat again.
Do I look depressed right now?
Not now. It's like, yeah, well, come on now. Don't start crying. All right, we'll be back next week, and he'll stop crying. See y'all next week.